Your questions are vital for this part of the show, so do get in touch. Text us on 85058, email upallnight@bbc.co.uk, and even tweet at BBC5Live. But more than ever, 0500 909 693. Anne says, Dr. Karl, do you have any idea how I can stop or reduce the effects of seasickness? As I've a vein burst behind my knee and it's beyond repair, or it's been, repaired twice, and doctors advised me not to fly, so ferry's the only option to Ireland to see my family. I've tried tablets and pressure points, wristbands. It sounds like you're a medical doctor to answer that question, Dr. Karl. Will you take it nevertheless?
I will indeed. Dr. Dotton, how lovely to talk with you again.
Dr. Karl, it's always a pleasure, sir.
Right, now there's a drug which works really well. It's called ondansetron. It's for morning sickness. It's not normally available without script unless you're at Singapore Airport.
Why only at Singapore Airport?
That's all I know. Like in Australia, you need a script to get it ondansetron.
Yeah.
It's a remarkably good anti-seasickness tablet. But if you're passing through Singapore Airport, just load up and take as much as you want. I first came across this on my third trip down to the Antarctic, and we were in a Force 9 gale. It wasn't Force 10, but Force 9 is pretty good.
Yeah.
And I was one of the very few people who was not seasick, as on previous journeys, except when I went on deck, leaving my poor daughter behind going, I want to die, I want to die. I went on deck, and there wasn't just one or two people, but there was a significant number of people. Now, as you know, Dotton, I've been around, right? I've been around.
Yeah.
And I could tell, man, that they were holding. So I said, hey, man, how come you're not seasick? And they said, ondansetron. You want one? The first one's free. And so, man, I scored. I then used the same line with a few different people and managed to get enough ondansetrons, one each off each person. The first one's always free, and score enough for my daughter so that she could then get through the Force 9 gale and come out the other side. If you want to go non-pharmaceutical, the way there is ginger, which is of the so-called scams, supplementary and complementary alternate medicines, surprisingly effective. Not as good as ondansetron. After all, as Tim Minchin said, we have medicines that work, and the name for them is medicines. So ondansetron or ginger. Let me give you an example of how complicated seasickness is. So imagine, Dotton, that I've got you in a long, skinny room, a long, dark room, right? And everything is dark except for a light at the far end, and you're sitting in a chair. You got that mental image so far?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're sitting in a chair, and I say, look, Dotton, and I'm dressed in black because that's my sort of natural James Bond outfit.
Suits your complexion.
Yeah, so you don't really see me. And I say, okay, Dotton, point at that light way down there at the end of the room. And so you lift up your right arm and you point to it. And then I come up to you in the dark, and you don't really see me, and gently I lay my hands upon your arm, and I move it to sweep out a clockwise circle around that light. Your eyes will see the light going counterclockwise.
Yeah.
Freaky, huh?
Yeah.
But if you describe a clockwise circle, it doesn't happen. It's only if somebody else does it to you. So seasickness, motion sickness, is a mixture of, or is rather a mismatch between what your balance centers perceive and what your other centers, such as vision, perceive. So your first balance center is, of course, your eyes. But if your eyes are closed, you can normally stand up. And then there's the sensors, as hooked into cranial nerve 8 in the very dense bone just near your ears. But then there's also your proprioception. In other words, the sense of where your arms and legs are. So seasickness, motion sickness is complicated. And I used to get really, really seasick, and now it doesn't bother me at all. And with a bit of luck, it'll probably change into getting really, really seasick again in years to come.
And is that slightly connected to the way, when you spin round and round and round and round and round as a kid, like you love to do, just to get dizzy? Your sense of balance is played around with there as well, obviously. Is that connected to, is there a link between that and seasickness at all? Yes,
it's those sensors which get tricked by you spinning round and round and round also get tricked in motion sickness, because you're looking at the horizon, and the horizon just seems to be fixed, but your balance centers that say I'm going up, I'm going down, I'm going up, I'm going down. So it gets that's the cause of seasickness. And by the way,